Hey guys, welcome back to Toy Garage. In this episode, I will show you the project of this radio control solid axle monster truck. First of all, I need to tell you that this truck is currently not in the stock form. Several customization had already been done. Anyway, let me give you some very basic information of this stock truck. It is a hobby grade radio control solid axle monster truck produced by MST. It is a build kit. It means you need to build it, and no radio and electronics are included. It is a 10 scaled. Wheelbase is 280 millimeter, similar to a Tamiya Crowdbuster. The chassis looks like a cage, but it is actually a twin vertical plate design, which consists of two of these big vertical plate connected with multiple braces in between. The stock truck is equipped with 8 of these plastic shock, but as you see, I have already replaced them. The battery tray in here is big enough for a standard size LiPo battery, and the electronic tray on the front used the very similar design of the battery tray, but because I have modified the suspension of the truck, I need to create a customized tray. The kit also comes with this nice waterproof radio box, but it is too big and I have not used it. Talking about the transmission, the whole transmission of the truck, including the gearbox, the front and the rear telescoping driveshaft, the front and the rear solid axle, all of them are cloned from the MST CMX core series, except that both the front and the rear differential in this truck are open differential. The truck is also equipped with a front and rear anti-sway bar, which definitely help to reduce torque thrust issue. I do think it is a must for a solid axle monster truck, and it is also equipped with a wheel bar. There is one feature I really wanted but not with this truck is four-wheel steering. You may ask why this truck. The answer is it is cheap, lightweight, and the design of the chassis is pretty low center of gravity. The price of this kit is $190. It is not cheap, but because it is a building kit and I have already got all the required electronics, the actual cost is close to $190. Let's measure the weight of this truck, but before doing that, let's check what are on this truck. We got a 2-cell LiPo in here, and a brushless motor, a big speed controller, a very typical entry-grade steering servo in here, 4 aftermarket metal shocks, a plastic bumper, some 3D print parts, and of course the gear body. Therefore, it is ready to run full weight, including the battery. Let's go. It weighs less than 2.6 kilogram, which is less than 5.7 pounds. Now let's review the layout of the electronics of the truck. This picture shows the side view of the truck sitting still on the ground, with all required electronics including the battery. I use soft spring setting with the shocks, therefore they are already half compressed to keep the truck low center of gravity. I have highlighted the three major components within the chassis: battery, motor, and speed control. Pay attention to the vertical position of the three components. I think they are sitting on very low position. Very good. Also take a look to the angle of the middle drive shaft when the truck is standing still, when the shock fully extended, and when the shocks are fully compressed. Keep the angle small will keep the shaft running smooth. The first thing I have upgraded are the suspension shocks. The left one is the stock and the right is the aftermarket shock that I am using. The main problem of the stock shock is the compaction travel is too short. The length of the shock is 110 millimeter, but the travel is only 25 millimeter. This aftermarket shock is able to compass to 41 millimeter, which is much better. For the aftermarket shock, the spring is stored inside the shock body. It is narrow in my situation, that is good. And the bad is the internal spring cannot be preloaded, although it comes with a number of springs with different hardness. Since the length of the new shock is much longer, I need to change the upper mounting point of the shock in order to utilize the extra length of it. I want low center of gravity, and therefore I need to make a custom shock tower. This is the 3D print shock tower extension. It extends the stock shock tower, but replaces nothing. The front and the rear are identical. One of them is already installed to the rear suspension with the new shocks. Let me show you how it is installed. This is the original shock tower. First, we remove the middle brace, and then insert the brace through these two holes into the extension. Notice that these two holes are synchronized with the body post mounting holes in the base. Now insert the body post through the top of the extension. And afterward, install two R clip through this hole. This hole. After installing the R clips to the body post, you can now insert the body, install the whole assembly back to the original shock tower, secure it using the original mounting holes. It can be further secured by applying 4 screws in this position. Now let's check how the suspension works. First, let's check the rear suspension. When the shocks are fully compressed, the rear axle is not touching the battery tray. And when the shock fully extended, by placing the stock shock in here, assuming that it is mounting it at this point, I found that the maximum ride height of the truck is lower than the stock setting, maybe by 5 millimeters, which means the maximum angle of the telescoping drive shaft is reduced. Now let's check the front suspension. The geometry of the front and the rear suspension are the same, but bear in mind that the steering servo is mounting on the top of the front axle. So in order to let it move upward, I cannot use the stock electronic tray, and therefore I make this custom electronic tray. I have created a shorter electronic tray for the speed controller in here, and therefore make room for the steering servo to move upward when the shock are fully compressed. Okay, and I have also created another tray in here just over the steering servo, and I have stick the receiver on it. Now let me show you the actual suspension travel. I have make a mark near the bottom of the skid and net measure the suspension travel by that arrow. The lower value is about 29 millimeter, and the upper value is 17.4 millimeter. So the suspension travel is about 45 millimeter. Pretty good. There is another tricky setting I need to tell you. I'm not sure if it is good or not. There is no silicone inside the shock. I have tried using the lightest silicone that I have, which is 300 weight, but it is still too hot and the truck bounces. Now they are damped by air. The next step for this project is to install the motor and electronics, give it a better steering servo, paint the body, and run it. Let me tell you, I am not a big fan of doing paint job. That is the end of this episode. If you like this video, please subscribe, share it, and hit the like button. Really appreciate your support. Stay tuned. Bye bye.